All right, so this is going to be different. I'm going to try my best as I struggle through laryngitis. Didn't want to cancel the call because we've got a very special guy, Ken Lear, on the call. And I've got all my questions typed up and ready for Ken if I have to post them, and Ken will get to them. So Ken, I appreciate you taking time to join us. Obviously, everybody knows who
My
you are, and
pleasure.
they'll know that you're a stud. And I think everybody's got a ton of respect for you as a family man, as a businessman, and I think you're a great role model in so many ways for us. Um, but I want to
Thank you.
start with this. I did ask you, I ask a lot of people before they come on the calls, like, hey, what do you think you're really good at? Because that'll usually drive a lot of good questions. And your response was seeing the good. So I appreciate your short words for me with laryngitis, but I want you to expand on that. What do you mean by a strength of yours is seeing the good?
Well, first of all, I'll jump on this call anytime. Give me an intro like that. I appreciate it. That pumps my tires. Um, you know, I mean, listen, as many, unfortunately, the pain that I've had in my life, with losing my parents to cancer, about 12 years ago. Um, and there was a period of time from 2013, right after that happened, to 2016, 2017, where I just got my ass kicked in business. The business that wasn't doing well, my organization was falling apart a little bit, and it was all me. It was all me, that the things I did and didn't do, and I've had a ton of conversations with Gary around. He's like, I don't know why you're even still here. Can't believe you're even stuck around. And I had this conversation earlier today with one of my owners. Like, I signed up for entrepreneurship, everything about it, all the good, all the freedom, all the fun, all the travel, all the cool shit, all the choices, time, all of it. And that also comes with pain, making mistakes, getting your ass kicked, not making great decisions, things falling apart. Like, I signed up for all of it, but when I went through all that pain from 2013 to 2016, 2017, I just made the choice. I rebranded my entire company around the day after my father passed on Brady's birthday, my son, the day this my son was born. And I just made a decision back then and leaned into it that I'm going to see the good. And in the toughest of moments, I just believe there's a silver lining. There's something to learn. There's something to see, that, hey, life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. There's lessons somewhere. It's like that old, that I used to run a meeting back in the day. It's like these two kids and this pile of shit on the floor, and the two kids are jumping around, and one kid goes to their mommy and daddy and is pissed off, and oh, there's shit all over the place. And the other one dives in it and swims around and throwing it everywhere, and it's getting everywhere. And they're like, what is wrong with my child? And the child comes up like, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's like, well, if there's this much shit in here, there's got to be a pony somewhere. There's got to be something that creates it, the pony. And so I don't know. I just believe, and maybe it's something that, maybe I believe it's my faith. I have a lot of faith, and God puts pressure on those that can handle things, and on his toughest soldiers, in a way. And yeah, I don't know. I just see the good. And listen, it's kind of funny, right? So today I was telling the EDM guys, life throws curveballs at you. So this morning, I was getting Brady to the bus stop, and 7 o'clock, we get there, 7:04 is when the bus comes by. We sat there to 7:10, 7:12, and another bus comes by and says, oh, the bus already came. We're like, what? We were like 5 minutes early. What's going on? So I had to run him to school, got back in the gym, did my morning routine, get to the office. And on the way to the office, we have a new support role in our campaign. And he said, I'll take care of the EDM ICL, all rep call deck, right, to give recognition. And he sent me the ICL call, and I was like, is that not the rep call? He goes, what do you mean, the rep call? I'm like, no. So we're like an hour and a half ahead of having 1,000 reps on a call. And I was like, oh, all right. And I had to shift everything and have my guys run the morning, and I was helping him build out the PowerPoint to give recognition to people. And we did fine. We did our best. And then, I get a phone call right at noon, and Sarah's like, "Hey, I just got a call from school. Mason's throwing up." Okay, she's like, "I'm about to jump on the Amazon call and run that one." She's like, "Can you grab him?" I was like, okay." Yeah, so I run it. I run to the school, grab him, get him home. She's like, "You good?" I was like, I gotta go to do payroll. I got another rep call in 45 minutes." So I run back, and he's fine. And apparently he's fine completely now, right, kids? I wasn't sick, but he threw up, so he came home. And then on my way back from the from home, Ben, my partner, calls me and goes, "Hey, just a heads up, your new leader said to me that some of the guys are meeting down the road at Savvy Sliders for lunch. Thought you should know." I was like, "Great. I'm actually right here. Let me make a U-turn." And I pull over and I pull the old walk into the door, and I just kind of look around, and I'm like, "What's up? What are you doing here? What are you guys doing here?" I was like, "All right. Well, it makes sense why some of you new guys suck. See you later." He went back to the office. And and then, as you know, life happens, and I'm in the car now. I didn't totally expect to. I got to get to something here at 6:30. That came up. So it's like, we just do our best. And I told my owner, I talked to her, I was like, "Today I'm earning my overrides. I'm earning the owner's profit that I make every week. There's a lot of weeks that, things are cool and whatever, but I'm earning it today." So, and I just laugh it off. I just feel that's the only way to look at things sometimes.
And there's
So,
a pony in there somewhere today, huh? Somewhere there's a pony.
yeah, yeah, somewhere. All this shit. There's
Um,
got to be one somewhere.
so that's crazy. So your son was born on the day that your dad passed, and on that day you rebranded your business. Did I hear that right?
The day after.
The day
So,
after.
yeah, so my father passed on February 2nd, 2013. Is when I got the phone call from. He was in the Northeast. We had him in a home where they took full care for him. And during that last, 3, 4 months, um, we're pregnant, right? My mom had passed November 15th of 2012. Sarah couldn't even go to my mom's funeral because she was past the date to fly. And we were in LA, right? I was in Orange County out there running my office in the org, and my family was in Florida. But dad was in Boston because we are trying to get him the care for the liver cancer he had. And I got a phone call from my brother on February 2nd, that Saturday. Kind of incredible. I don't know how Gary found out, but the next morning he asked if we could do breakfast because he just wanted to be there for me and Sarah. And he came by and we went and had breakfast. And we're at a little breakfast place in Long Beach, right there near you. And apparently Sarah's having contractions throughout breakfast, and nobody knew, including me. And that was Super Bowl Sunday. I don't know if you remember New Orleans, and the lights went out. Super Bowl in New Orleans, and at halftime,
Happening.
roughly. And yeah, and I right when that happened, and the lights went out, I hear, "Honey, I think it's time." I was like, "Oh shit!" So we jump in the car and go to the hospital in Long Beach, and and I'm halfway there. She's like, "Oh, I think it's a false alarm." I'm like, "Let's just go. Let's just figure it out." And we get there, and she's like 8 centimeters or something, and the doctor's like, "You're having a baby today, like anytime now." I'm like, "Oh my God." And then I turn on the Super Bowl and try to do my best to watch both.
And so I'm just curious with the rebranding, if you will, like the day after, like how did you look at your business? Like did you just have a different mindset? Like why did you change the brand of the business? What was the out with the old, in with the new? Like I'm just kind of curious what you're thinking because I do think many owners kind of go through that where it's like, you know what? This is kind of a new chapter. It doesn't have to necessarily be a full rebrand, but it's like, okay,
Yeah.
that old me is done. This is the new me. And then like what was different? Like was it a mindset that was different? Were there some habits that you changed that were different? Like what was different? Why the rebrand?
So I just wanted to look on the good of that whole situation and see the good. I could have focused on all the pain and everything else. And to be fair, I was pretty fucked up for a few years. But I wanted to brand, and I mean, I just realized pretty quickly that I had to step up in my family. I had to lead at a high level. And I have an older brother who's done well and things. But I knew between the two of us, there's, extended family that my dad took care of, and brothers and sisters and things that he was responsible for, things that my grandmother had left for us, and that was all passed on to us. And so I just knew that I had to focus my energy around hope, focus my energy around the future, let go of the past. And and that 2313 has been the company name ever since, and on that concept, February 3rd, 2013.
And what was different if somebody was in your office and they were an observer, what would they say was different with Ken?
I don't think you would really see or would have seen it until 2 or 3 years later. Because I was still going through it. It took me a really, really long time to kind of get over, and not to get over it, because you never get over it. To be able to talk about it, to even tell the story about it, to be able to relate to people about it. Um, and so I don't think it was until 2017, and I think you may have heard this story before, but the business wasn't doing well. Brady was getting older. Mason was born in 2015, and you know, Sarah, we'd gone through this period of time where I was working, but I wasn't fully attacking the business. I wasn't fully doing everything, leaving it all out there, kind of thing. And Sarah had even made me like a vision board in the bathroom of goals every week of how many interviews I was doing, like literally like a sale, like an accountability partner kind of stuff. And that still wasn't getting me, I don't know, zoned in completely and doing everything I needed to do, because she knows the business, right? She knows how to build a crew and setting the pace. My business, I had 5 guys, it wasn't really cranking by any means. And there's just a certain level of work you got to put in to get your office from 5 guys to 30 guys. And, I was doing just enough to maintain, and she said to me one day, we were upstairs in our bedroom, and I'll never forget it. She looked at me, she goes, "Hey, I got to ask you something," because she just got fed up. And she's like, "I just got to ask you something. Are you going to start doing the work that you have to do to build the business and get it to where it needs to go? Or are you going to tell the boys about the life they could have had in 10 years? Because I'm not going to do that. That's on you." And I remember like looking at her, and it just hit me like a ton of bricks that I'm not, the decisions I'm making are not just affecting me and the guys in the office, but it's truly affecting life and home and our family. And it had to do with like having the tough conversations. It had to do with, instead of doing things in the office, going to the field, setting the pace in my code, all the things that we got to do to build an office. And I remember looking at her with tears in my eyes, and I was like, "Babe, I got it. You won't have to say anything to me ever again about this." And from that moment on, that was 2017, 2018. um I just literally just started attacking the field full force with, I don't know, 15 owners in my org, whatever, and full force attacking the field. And I got my edge back. I became super calm. I knew, and I started recruiting and training and doing the things I need to do. And it's interesting because then at one point, about roughly a year later or 6 months later, I made a little pivot onto retail. And some people may think retail made a difference, and it really wasn't retail. It was me. I was just in a space in my mind that I was doing everything possible to build my office and build my crew. I spent a little bit of time with Adam and got a little freshness on the business, and a buddy of mine winning at a high level, and it really just again opened my eyes about what's possible. And then as I'm in the field setting the pace in my code, $1,000 a week, there's this opportunity called EDM that was at its infancy, and we talked about it, and you can say the rest is kind of history, because I went out and set the pace on EDM for 6 months straight, and you know we're on pace to do 230 million this year in this campaign. So my org has changed drastically. We're up to 26 offices. I got my sixth first gen office going out in 6 weeks, so we should be pushing some goals, which is cool.
Yeah, no doubt. Sarah is savage. She is very savage. It's funny every time I see like an email from her to an owner where she's either calling them out or holding them accountable. I keep thinking of that story that you just said, and I'm like, listen, you should take to heart what Sarah is saying because it certainly worked for Ken. Ken took that savage type of mentality to heart, and boy, did he flip things around. Because I do remember when you were at that low, and I don't know if there's anybody in the business who's bounced back to a grander level than you, Ken. I mean, everybody bounces back. Gareth Roberts is, I put him in
Yeah.
that bounce back category.
Yep.
Um, but you hit a low, especially with your parents passing away in a relatively the same period of time. Business was not doing well, and Sarah gives you that shove, and you just skyrocketed after that. So that's quite amazing. And we tell owners all the time, like go to the field, but you're saying you went to the field and you became calm through that process.
Yeah.
Like, was it just a quiet confidence you had where you're like, nobody can give me excuses. I know the program inside and out. I'm not
Yep.
seeking information on, hey, what's going on out there? Like, you know exactly what's going on out there.
Yeah. Yeah, and there is also a bit of change in my organization internally, right? There are some owners that were, their office had some challenges, some campaign changes, and I knew what they had to do because I did it. And so I became super calm and knowing and being confident in myself that, hey, I can just, and I shifted my attitude of you need to do this, you need to do this. Because out of love for them, I want them to do certain things into, hey, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to tell you what I had to do in my business. And when I was here, I did this. I did that. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you that's the only way I knew how to rebuild my situation. And so because I did it, and if they weren't willing to do that piece to get it rocking, I was quietly, to your, I guess, point, confident that hey, hopefully they come around. But I mean, can't force them to. It's their business, and maybe they'll have someone have that convo with them. You know, and I'm gonna still go out of my way to support them and give them love, and because you never know. Even though I was down and out, to your point, like something could switch.
Yeah. To shift gears here a little bit, just to get into some of the details on EDM, AT&T, telecom for the most part, just some nerdy stuff. Obviously, we see promotional changes all the time, right? These, big companies are throwing money at us. They take money away. They want new customers all the time. But how do you navigate through some of these changes? Like, so for example, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but I think in February is when they showered us with the $800, customer incentive to switch over, and, we'll buy out whatever you have left on your existing phone. Like at
Sure.
some point in time, that's going to go away. So, how do you prepare your people? What goes through your mind with all these changes? Because if I'm a rep who only knows that program, it's like a drastically different business I'm in the next day when that goes away, or maybe it partially goes away. I don't know, but I just want to
Sure.
talk about promotional changes. How do you navigate through that?
So the philosophy is we teach people to do the field without them. And we structurally teach people in the office that we don't have them. And it's at the it's only in the, it's gonna make or break the deal at the end that we use it. And the challenge of that is, to your point, there's people that have started in the field and they've always had it, right? They've never not had it. And so, what we're doing in our office is we're telling them it's going away. So don't lean on it. Like it is what it is. And I'm telling the leaders that have built teams, I was like, listen, as we inspect in the field and we get out and support our guys, like if you don't prepare yourself and make sure you ensure, and when you're out there with your guys that they're not leaning on this too much, then we're gonna feel the pain. We may lose 20 to 30% of our reps. because of a change like this. And I don't want to see us go through that. We have to be better than that. And then also, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, like we as a business, we're a recruiting company, right? We're an organization that is constantly recruiting, finding the next talent. And so I think the if we can prepare the youngest leaders to replace themselves and be in a role of having a few leaders on their team, if things do change, you know, things may, there may be a couple guys that lean too far into it and haven't prepared themselves. So, but I think my attitude is we're trying to just get ahead of it, prepare them for what's coming, prepare them for war, and teach them the to pitch without it. It's to your point. I mean, things are constantly changing, and I don't, as a leader, when things change, I have zero emotions towards it. I think the mistake that people make and have made in the past, like especially like during Black Friday and other things, is they like, this is the time, the fourth quarter. And I'm like, I remember I did that my first year, is I got super excited about the fourth quarter, and then I got hammered in the first quarter. And I even changed some of my metrics on standards and whatever. And fourth quarter is this, fourth quarter that. I'm like, I don't do that at all anymore. I'm like, hey, take advantage of the wins in our sales. That's fantastic. I'm not excited when we have the wins in our sales. I'll get excited when this all goes away and you're still good at it. Right. So I'm like, I'm trying to prepare them mentally for not. And that's what I did differently this past year. And in the last couple of years, and January has been, you know, solid compared to the first year went down, lost
Yeah.
head count, etc.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, no matter what the campaign, I don't get excited when the new guy makes money or the veteran makes money. I get excited to see them not make money and to see how they respond. I get
Exactly.
excited about that because failure is inevitable. How you react and respond to the failure is going to determine whether you're going to be successful or not. How you respond to success. I mean, anybody can respond positively to success.
Yeah.
So, so that's how
Yeah.
you're.
I love the talk when somebody, to your point, it's actually something I look forward to, right? If there's a leader that does really well and then they come back and they have a $200 or $300 week, and then they show up on Monday the following week, I pull them in and I'm like, hey Jamie, how are you? Hi Ken, how are you? I'm like, listen, I'm really excited for you. They're like, what? Like, yeah, you had a shit week last week. And they're like, I know. I'm like, but you know what the coolest part is? You showed up today. Did you know that most people quit after having a week like you had? That says a lot to me. It says a lot what you're here for. And to your point, Jamie, I talk about, listen, you're not going to be successful long term without getting your ass kicked. Trust me, I know. But yeah,
Exactly.
I get it. I love that convo.
Yeah. And my son just finished his first year of lacrosse, and they got their asses kicked all year long. Like I think they only won 2 games or something like that out of 25. And so the coaches were very sheepish around the parents because parents are grumbling.
Yeah,
Competitive parents obviously want to see their kids win. And I go to the head coach. I'm like, this is my favorite year of my son's sports. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, my son has excelled in like all the sports programs and he's done well his whole life. And this is the first time he's hit a wall. And I love seeing him grow and he's practicing harder. He's practicing more in the backyard. So keep it
yeah,
up. And I think I might have been like the only parent giving him a pat on the back for
happy.
a job well done.
Yeah,
But it's like how we handle failure is really the key to success in life. And again, you do
yeah,
know as well as anybody else.
yeah.
I know. Oh, go ahead.
I'll tell you this real quick to another 30-second son story. So my son last year, and listen, I think he's a talented little soccer guy, right? And because I'm biased a little bit, but he didn't get picked for the state team last year. And I wasn't surprised based on how he performed. And, but I also know the talent he played against. If in a different situation, he didn't show well. He didn't use his voice. He didn't lead because he's a center midfielder. He should be like the person running the team a little bit. And afterwards, the coach pulled him aside and because he's bawling his eyes out. And I said, hey, the coach said, you want to learn? If you didn't pick, go talk to him. And this guy pulls him and he goes, hey, what number? He goes, Brady, right? He goes, Brady, come here. And he walks him over to the bench. He goes, Brady, I want to talk to you because we had a long conversation about you, all six of the coaches. You were one of the kids that was right on the edge that we could tell you're talented, but you didn't. We asked you specific directions to use your voice, switch the ball. And you did some of those things, but you weren't leading. A center midfielder is the leader of the team, the captain of the program. And you didn't respond to that. And he goes, but I will tell you this, just as a little something. He pulls out this little piece of paper. He goes, you see this name? And I don't know if you know soccer, but Rio Ferdinand, if you know that name, is an English soccer player, defender, played for the English national team. And this guy was English. He goes, I evaluated him at your age, at 11 years old. And I told him, just like I'm telling you, that he wasn't good at these three specific areas. Do yourself a favor and go look up Rio Ferdinand's professional career because he went on and did some good things. And he's a guy went on and played for the national team, went on and played, professionally for 15 years, etc. And he goes, Brady, you will learn in sports and in life that there's sometimes that people aren't going to like you. You have to get used to that. But the question is, what do you do next? And I remember leaving that and I'm like, well, first of all, how cool is that? That guy took like 5 minutes and shared that story with him. Like, I was blown away. And I just shook his hand and said, hey, man, thank you for having the conversation. And, he gets home and he's like, Daddy, can we go practice in the backyard? We sure can. We sure can.
Awesome. That's awesome. There's only two guys I know in soccer, and that's Lionel Messi and Ken Lear. Those are the only two names I know. Sorry, I don't
Oh,
know the
you
other
know
guy.
David Beckham. You know Beckham. Come
Oh
on.
yeah, of course, of course. Well, he's not a soccer player. He's a business mogul. Who David
Yeah.
Beckham is,
Yeah.
and married Posh Spice. I know him
Yeah.
from
She's
Posh
ugly.
Spice.
She's ugly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Not,
Yeah.
not to my knowledge. That's not how I
No.
remember it going down. But Ken, I appreciate you taking the time. Thanks for putting up with my lack of. I'll get my voice back.
Of
Get back.
course you will. Feel better.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you
All right.
joining us.
No worries. You guys have a great week. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Ken.